So, Jesse, how has the spring gone?
Yeah, I think it's been a tremendous offseason. So much just credit and respect for the guys. You know, a majority of them have been here pretty consistently, which has allowed us to, try to install a new defense, try to install a new, just way of doing things from Coach Harbaugh to Coach Herbert to how we want to play on defense. So those guys being here has been a huge blessing for us, and it's not something we take for granted. It's something we really appreciate them doing. And, I don't think it guarantees success, but it certainly doesn't hurt. It kind of gives you a foundation to go into training camp with. And so I think it's been a great offseason, great job by the coaches, great job by the players, and really look forward to ramping back up in July.
Last time we talked to you was in February before players had gotten in here, you got on the grass and everything, and you told us in February that your approach is to sort of install at the speed at which the players can sort of grasp it and digest it. So as you've gotten on the field, got to learn the players, started installing, I guess what speed have they been able to sort of take it all in, and how fast have you really been able to
go through it? It's gone in spurts, I would say. We spent a majority of phase one really talking concepts and just sort of how we want the overall big picture of coverages to start to look, pressures to look, sort of how we get to things. Phase two sort of dove a little bit deeper. Phase three obviously dove in, and now we're able to get reps, 7-on-7, some team reps against an offense. And so that allows you to really, take it in. Now you can see yourself doing it. Now you can make corrections. I think we went at a pretty good rate the first 4 days. Then we sort of slowed down for a couple of days and let it marinate a little bit, so to speak. And then over the last part, we've really kind of been able to throw a few things that I didn't know that we were going to get to. So credit to them and credit to the guys of how they've picked everything up, how they've bought in. They put in a lot of good time with each other, extra time and stuff like that. So overall, just really, really pleased with them and their efforts. And like I said, much respect and appreciation for all that they've done this offseason.
How excited were you when Joey and Khalil joined, and how different was it when they got here?
Yeah, it's super exciting. I mean, just the idea, and I think the last time I spoke, we didn't know how that was all going to shake out at the time. There was certainly speculation about a lot of different things. To be able to have the edge room that we have now, I think it's a huge strength of ours. You got guys that have played in this league at a really, really high level and done it for a long time. And so when those guys got here, I think the thing that I sort of respected the most is just how they went about their business. And they practice the right way. They're a great example for the young players of how you want to become a veteran, how you want to become a pro. So just how they've worked and how they've attacked it, how they've been excited to learn, is something that certainly very appreciative of. They've really wanted to know what we're doing, why we're doing it, how we're doing it, how we're going to set things up, how we're going to, let them operate at times, let them cook, so to speak. So really excited about them and appreciate the work they've put in and look forward to seeing those guys out there in the fall rolling.
I was watching in the team video, it seemed like it looked like Joe came up to you and Joey and Khalil came back for OTAs, and he said you feel like a different pep in your step or something like that day.
It's exciting when you got those two out there, and certainly no disrespect to the other players that we have, but when you have a guy like Joey Bosa, a guy like Khalil Mack, we had just signed Bud Dupree, and so when you're working with that caliber player, I think how we want to operate is we want to accentuate our strengths. And so it's like every year that I've been a coordinator, your strengths are different. It's not always the same. In the NFL, you have a chance at times for it to stay a little more consistent because you can keep guys on the roster. But we want to build on them. They're strengths of our defense, let them affect the game, do things that they do really well, and try to let them have the best years that they've had and thrive in our defense.
You already, like you mentioned, had 2 star pass rushers. You have a young up-and-comer in Thule, but then you guys decide to go out and get Bud. What does the addition of Bud mean? And then obviously he's a player that's been productive for years. Just what is his addition mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's a violent game, and it's particularly when you play the right way. Playing 17 games in this league on the defensive front is a challenge. And I think really what it first allows you to do is try to keep those guys fresh. and have a good rotation. I think there's 4, hopefully 5, however the roster shakes out. But there's certainly those 4 that are proven commodities in this league. The way Tuli played as a rookie, I talked about that previously. Didn't look like a rookie, plays with the violence and the physicality that we want to play with. And so those guys allow you to rotate those guys on normal downs, to stay fresh, and then to really, the money downs in this league, the money areas of the field, as the field shrinks, as you get the chances to get off the field, to have fresh pass rushers and have those guys the ability to be at their best in those moments where they can affect the game more on certain downs. Not that they can't affect it on first down, but when they're able to really cut it loose and help us get off the field in critical situations by being, maybe a rep or 2 less, but being more fresh towards the third quarter, fourth quarter, when you really need to close out games and be at your best. There's certainly a blessing to have those 4 guys.
With Derwin, we talked about him back in February before you had a chance to see him on the field. We talked about, watching the film from last year, you noticed that the closer he gets to the ball, the better. And we talked about sort of managing his versatility versus making sure he's comfortable and all that different stuff. How has that vision sort of crystallized here as you've seen him on the field and been able to sort of figure out exactly what he can bring to your defense?
Yeah, I'm going to try to, over the summer, clone him and try to make 3 of them. He does everything well. So, I think it's still sort of just where can he most be effective in a certain game, in a certain type of matchup. He can do it all. But as I've said before, you got to be careful of not overloading him. And he's picked up everything. He's picked up multiple positions. He's repped at a bunch of different positions. And so there's times where he's really good back, and he's an elite tackler. And so sometimes, when that guy's coming out of the middle of the field as your last line of defense, you feel pretty good about it, And then there's times where he's blitzing off the edge and he's causing havoc. There's times where he's locking up a slot receiver or locking up a tight end. So his versatility, I think he has an opportunity to, as I told him, let's restake the claim as you being one of the best safeties in football.
What did he say to that?
He loves it. Yeah.
What did it mean for you to draft Junior in the 3rd round?
Yeah, that was special, just in a sense of Junior and I's relationship, first and foremost. Seeing all those guys from Michigan that you've had a chance to work with for a couple of years, certainly have the success that we had, to see all those guys sort of achieve their dreams over those couple of days was really special. And then for one of them to be able to call them and be on the phone call like, dude, we're bringing you here. This is stuff we've talked about now for a year in my office when nobody else was around. So just really happy for him, proud of him, and getting a guy in the middle of the defense that knows how we play, knows how we operate, knows the scheme. Tremendous competition in that room. I think it's one of our deeper rooms of multiple guys that have played, key snaps in this league, and then you bring in a guy like Junior and how he played in college. So I'm really excited to see how that shakes out, but certainly very excited to add Junior to the mix.
Going back to Derwin for 1 sec, when you do move him around closer line of scrimmage, in the slot, wherever, you do have to bring another safety onto the field. We've seen AJ there, we've seen JT there. Just that competition there for your 3rd safety spot. Where do you?
Yeah, that's a great competition. I'd say it's ongoing. We've thrown different guys in there at different times. I think in our secondary, just versatility is a key factor of how we play. Don't want to say positionless, but we try to teach the coverages in a way that guys can really play in any spot, even a corner, even a nickel, going back and playing there. So those guys have done a really good job picking it up. I think they sense there's a real opportunity here for a lot of snaps because of Derwin's flexibility and how good he can be doing different things. And then so for us, it's like, okay, who are the 5 best defensive backs to put on the field? Who are the 6 best defensive backs? And letting all that shake out as we get into, I would call like right now, it's kind of non-competitive in a sense that we're not always finishing on the ball the way you would when you have training camp, when you have pads on, when the rules are a little bit different. So I think all that stuff will sort itself out. But certainly excited about those 2 guys and what they've learned, how they've progressed. I think both of them have a chance to, take it, And so look forward to those guys challenging each other and having a great competition in training camp.
Speaking of the safeties room, you guys are trying out Tony Jefferson. You were with him in Baltimore. Just what do you think if you guys do end up? Do you feel like he wasn't in the NFL last year, but Do you feel like you still have some juice, and what do you
Yeah,
think?
Tony's a guy I've known since 2017, and just a pro's pro that is very knowledgeable of some of the things that we're doing defensively, and has also, been a guy, in 2017, he was that guy you could move around, you could put in different spots, you could play him at safety, you could play him at dime, you could play him at a little bit of big nickel. So I think he still has some of those traits. It'll be up to Joe to see how we want to move with that spot. But it was certainly great to have him in here, and I think he, he really wants to play. He's gotten himself back into some football shape over the last couple months, and so it'll be interesting just to see how it shakes out.
What's your assessment of the cornerback room right now? We've seen obviously Asante and Christian outside, Job in the slot a decent amount.
Yeah, those three guys are doing really well. Same deal. I think we've moved them all around enough that they're all interchangeable in the slot outside. I think Dean Leonard is a guy that's played some good snaps here. Has sort of continued to progress. Like, you can tell that he's comfortable. You can tell that he's played. He can hold his own out there. And then the two rookies that we drafted, very excited about both of them. Tarheeb has probably in the last 3 or 4 practices made a really, really good jump that you sort of expect a guy to make after being able to digest 5 or 6 practices. Really happy with the jump that he's made. He made a bunch of really nice plays out there the last couple of days. And Cam, just his size and length, is something that we really wanted to add to that room and how we want to play. So just once again, in training camp, when it really, really intensifies, look forward to seeing how that entire competition shakes out and seeing who's best where, let it all shake out.